Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we are taking a look at something, well, something necessary, a vital part of leadership.
A tough part.
It's the brutal reality of what happens when the perfect plan just completely collapses.
Exactly.
We're doing a deep dive into leading through organizational setbacks. And you, our listener, you're probably looking for more than just, survival tips here.
You're right. You want frameworks.
Frameworks leaders use to maintain clarity, influence, even mission alignment when everything just goes off script.
Yeah.
Our source material for this uses this really powerful image.
It does.
It's that heavy, sort of suspended moment right after the bad news drops.
It's quiet.
The room goes quiet after a failed product launch or a sudden budget freeze. That silence, the research says, is the real test.
It's the crucible. It's the moment the leader's true sort of default posture is exposed.
So what's our mission today?
Our mission is to move past simple crisis management and really extract the practical frameworks, the mindsets you need to navigate that tension.
Because setbacks aren't the exception anymore.
Not at all. The research is very clear on this. With volatile markets and compressed timelines, setbacks are basically the norm now.
So the competitive advantage isn't found in trying to build a system that's immune to crisis.
Which is impossible.
Right. It's in cultivating the resilience and the systems to lead when the plan inevitably falls apart.
Precisely. The whole premise is that the leaders who really thrive aren't the ones who avoid the storm.
They're the ones who see it coming.
They anticipate it.
Oui.
And they know how to navigate it without sacrificing the mission or morale or trust. It's about being deliberate inside the chaos.
Okay, let's unpack this then, starting with reframing the setback itself. We often see failure as just an operational flaw, but the insight here is that a major setback is a profound test of leadership.
Yes.
One thing that really stood out from the sources was this distinction. Setbacks don't just test your systems, your supply chain, your software. They test your people.
And that is where the chaos really begins.
How so?
When that pressure spikes, morale just scrambles. Priorities evaporate. And, uncertainty spreads through the workforce faster than any official email ever could.
Right.
The research points to two unhelpful, almost primal instincts that leaders default to under that pressure.
And these are the two things we have to avoid, the extremes of over-control or withdrawal.
Exactly. Over-control is that frantic urge to micromanage everything.
Out of fear.
Out of fear that the system will just completely fail. But that instinct, it actually destroys the very autonomy and trust your team needs to innovate their way out of the problem.
And the other side is withdrawal.
Which is becoming insular, hard to reach, not communicating. This creates a vacuum, and the team starts thinking the leader is either hiding something or is just totally overwhelmed.
And neither one works.
Neither works.
Yeah.
Both of them just erode confidence at the worst possible time.
So it forces a critical choice then, doesn't it?
It does.
When the crisis hits, you have to choose. Do you default to the tight, exhausting urgency of control, trying to hold on to levers that are already broken?
Or
do you default to the grounded, focused response of clarity, finding the signal and all that noise?
And that decision right there, that's often what determines if a team fractures and starts playing the blame game.
Or finds its footing.
Or finds its feeling. It's a critical moment. The misconception is seeing a crisis as something that just shrinks your world.
Right, that it takes away your capacity.
When in reality, these setbacks, they're massive emotional, psychological, and cultural stress tests.
They force you to innovate.
They force innovation, and they clarify priorities in a way that, peacetime never does. They can become these powerful mandatory inflection points.
If you seize them.
If you don't seize the chance to pivot, the disruption seizes you.
Let's shift from that high-level view to the immediate human reality.
Okay.
Because before any strategy gets rolled out, the leader has to manage people who are in a state of shock. The sources call this the stress tsunami, a shock wave that hits the entire human fabric of the organization.
And this really just comes down to acknowledging basic human psychology.
Survival instincts.
Absolutely. When an individual perceives a danger to their job, to their status, our hardwired survival mechanisms kick in.
Fight, flight, or freeze.
Those are the three. They are ancient, and they can cascade through a team incredibly quickly.
So how do these actually look in an office? We're not talking about, fist fights in the break room?
No, but the response can be just as destructive. Fight can look like becoming agitated, confrontational.
Hypercritical emails.
Hypercritical emails, challenging authority just for the sake of it, becoming really stubborn about one solution.
Okay, and flight.
Flight is withdrawal. People disengage, they start ghosting important meetings, missing deadlines, or, quietly polishing their resume.
They see the ship sinking and they're looking for a lifeboat.
Exactly.
And freeze seems like maybe the most dangerous because it's so quiet.
It is. Freeze is just paralysis, indecisiveness, being so overwhelmed that all initiative is lost. And the productivity drop is just staggering.
The key is that a leader has to see these not as moral failings.
Not at all. They're not laziness. They are automatic physiological reactions to extreme stress. And if you don't manage them, they become the culture.
And this leads right into what the research calls the organizational blame games.
It's the direct result. When the team is operating under fight, flight, or freeze, all the energy gets diverted internally.
Rumors start.
Rumors spread faster than facts because people are hoarding information out of fear. Trust erodes, conflict goes up, and you see that fragmentation into an us versus them mentality.
Marketing blames engineering.
Engineering blames leadership. Everyone is spending their energy fighting inside the building instead of uniting to face the challenge outside.
So if the stress tsunami is the problem, the countermeasure, the shock absorber, has to be psychological safety.
It is the only way out of that cycle. And psychological safety it's more than just being nice. It's the shared belief that the team is safe for interpersonal risk-taking.
Meaning you can speak up.
You can speak up, you can admit a mistake, challenge an assumption, offer a crazy idea, all without the fear of being humiliated or punished. It creates a space for vulnerability.
And here's where it gets really impactful.
Yeah.
The peril of silence.
Yes.
If people don't feel safe, they are actively hiding information that the leader desperately needs.
Exactly. A lack of psychological safety leads directly to missed warnings because nobody raises the red flag early.
To suppress innovation.
Because no one dares to suggest a different approach. And ultimately, it causes poor decision-making because people see problems coming long before they become crises, but they're afraid to speak up.
The organization loses its immune system.
That's a great way to put it, yes.
That sets us up perfectly for our next segment. Making decisions when you yourself are in the fog of war.
Right, when your own cognitive function is impaired.
You get tunnel vision or you get analysis paralysis. We need tools to organize that chaos.
We need fast, robust frameworks. And one that's highly cited in the sources is the ODA loop.
Developed by a military strategist, John Boyd.
Right. Observe, orient, decide, act. The simplicity is a bit deceiving.
How so?
It forces leaders and teams into these rapid cycles of action, learning, and adaptation, which is absolutely crucial in a fast-moving crisis.
And it's not just a checklist, is it? The research we looked at said the really critical step is the second one, orient.
That's the secret sauce. Observe is just gathering data. Decide and act or execution. But orient, that's how you process the data.
So your mental model?
Your mental model. It's filtering new information through your existing knowledge, your culture, your objectives. In a crisis, effective orientation means defining the situation based on partial information, not waiting for 100% clarity.
It prioritizes speed over perfection.
Speed and informed intuition, yes.
But I have to ask, for a leader facing a huge financial setback, doesn't a tool like Otis risk, recklessness?
That's the tension. ODA is designed for volatile environments. That means the cost of delay is often much higher than the cost of a slightly imperfect decision.
And accountability.
It's built into the loop. If the action is wrong, the observation step immediately feeds that failure back into the next orientation cycle. You can pivot in hours, not months.
Fail small, learn fast, move again.
That's the idea.
Okay, so beyond moving forward, we also have to look backward at the mess.
The ghost of failed initiatives.
Yes. And we have this natural human impulse to just deny the failure or blame it on something else.
The market shifted.
The market shifted, our competitor did this, or we just move on really quickly without actually analyzing what went wrong.
And that denial is basically organizational suicide. It guarantees you'll repeat the mistake.
So what's the tool?
The foundational tool here is root cause analysis, and specifically the 5 whys method.
Right.
It forces you to keep asking why, to drill down past the surface level symptoms to the real systemic issue.
Let's walk through a deeper example than you usually see. Let's say the surface issue is, we missed our Q3 profitability target by 40%.
Okay, first why.
Why? 1, the core product refresh was delayed by 3 months.
Okay, why was it delayed? 2, The engineering team struggled with unmanageable bugs and scope creep late in the cycle.
Why did they struggle? 3, the product requirements document was rushed and poorly validated by sales before coding even started.
And why was it rushed? 4, sales felt intense pressure to hit their own immediate revenue targets, so they pushed for a rapid start even though they knew there were gaps.
Okay, so the final, 5th, why?
Why did they feel that pressure? 5, there is a cultural incentive structure that values immediate top-line revenue, even if it's based on flawed projections, over cross-functional collaboration and methodical long-term planning.
Wow. That 5th why is devastating.
It is.
Because it shows the problem isn't the engineers or the salespeople. It's the culture. It's the structure of reward and pressure.
It connects the technical failure straight back to a leadership failure.
That's why that deep analysis is so critical.
And to prevent failure in the first place, the sources strongly recommend the pre-mortem exercise.
Explain that.
Before you commit to a major initiative, you hold a meeting where everyone assumes the project has already failed spectacularly.
You mentioned it 6 months from now and it was a disaster.
Exactly. And then you work backward, writing down every possible reason why it failed. Internal politics, market changes, personnel gaps, anything.
So you can identify and mitigate those risks before you even start.
It's an act of proactive humility.
All right, let's turn to the last piece, which is often the most visible moment for a leader. Crisis communication.
The defining moment.
We've established that silence is lethal. It creates a vacuum that gets filled with rumors, fear, negativity.
The leader has to step into that vacuum with just radical integrity. The research points to 4 non-negotiable principles here.
The first.
First is truthfulness and integrity. Avoid spin, avoid corporate jargon, and absolutely avoid hiding the truth. People can handle bad news, they can't handle being lied to.
Second is transparency, but with boundaries.
Right. Share what is known, and just as important, share what is unknown. Explain the process. The goal isn't to dump raw data on people. It's to build their confidence in the process itself.
Third is empathy and compassion. This must be the hardest one to maintain under pressure.
It can be. A leader has to acknowledge the fear, the frustration, the grief that their audience is feeling, whether that's employees or investors.
Because it's a human problem.
It's a profound human problem that affects people's lives. And fourth is clarity and simplicity. Stick to the facts, avoid complex jargon, and ensure absolute consistency across every channel.
That consistency is key.
It is. And finally, this communication has to be managed in phases.
There's a rhythm to it.
A clear rhythm. Phase 1 is the immediate response. This has to be rapid. Acknowledge the situation, state what we know and what we're doing right now. The goal is to seize the narrative immediately.
Okay, phase 2.
Phase 2 is ongoing management. This is all about providing updates and progress through a regular cadence daily, emails, weekly town halls.
Even if the update is, we don't have an update yet.
Exactly. We're still investigating. The regularity itself builds reliability, and it stops that vacuum from coming back.
And phase 3, the final phase.
That's resolution and recovery. This is where you share the lessons learned and looking forward. You outline the changes you've made to prevent it from happening again, and most importantly, you recast that vision for the future. You show that the mission is still alive.
This has been a really powerful deep dive. The central finding, it seems to me, isn't really about personality, but about systems.
Yes.
Resilient leadership is about deliberately cultivating these human-centric systems, like psychological safety, the Odo loop, structured analysis like a pre-mortem, all to replace those chaotic instincts of overcontrol or withdrawal with grounded clarity.
And if you connect this to the biggest picture, every single setback, financial, personnel, a project failure, it has to be strategically reframed. The way you handle that pain is the ultimate safeguard for the organization's purpose.
So the pivot you make has to align with the core mission.
Always. You can't survive the crisis, only to realize you've lost your reason for being.
So as you integrate these tools and frameworks, take a moment to consider this final thought from our source material. When the road ahead suddenly disappears, who do you become? And how do you want your team to remember your leadership?
That's a powerful question.
It is. Because your legacy as a leader, you'll find, is shaped far more by your considered, empathetic, and disciplined response in the storm than by any of the victories you celebrate in the sunlight.